Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and you're going to know today's guest. He is the CEO of the ATA. We got Taekwon Lee here, and behind us is one of the biggest tournaments in the country. And this is, what do we call this, the Nationals, or is this a different one?
ATA's Fall Nationals in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we have a lot of people at our tournament. We have about 1,300 competitors. This is way bigger. Honestly, the branding is super beautiful. I walked in here very, very impressed. So if you are thinking about joining the ATA, you want to see how a bigger organization operates, this is going to be the podcast episode for you, because we're going to dive into not only the business of the ATA, business of a Taekwondo school or martial arts school, but also a little bit more about Taekwon, so you get to know him. So thank you so much for coming on here today.
Hey, thank you, sir. I know there's maybe some noise happening because this is a real life situation of our tournaments here. So we'll try to navigate through that as much as possible. But thank you for having me on the show, sir. I appreciate it. And welcome to the ATA.
Pleasure. And he actually gave me a heads up that he was going to be wearing a suit. So he looked a lot better than me before we showed up. But all I had was a t-shirt. So anyway, I have a very important question for you to start. We're playing a pickleball match. Okay. It's me and Chris Rodriguez. And you can choose anyone else in the ATA. Who do you think's winning?
Who do I think is winning?
Yeah.
Well, ATA's winning. What are you talking
You're choosing
about?
anyone. Who are you going to choose your
Oh,
partner?
who am I going to choose? Yeah. Let's see. Is this like a trick question? Right? I do play pickleball. What I learned really fast is it will mess with your Achilles.
Okay.
And so I took a little break. But yeah, I do. I like pickleball. They say it's good for older people. So I guess I'm embracing that side of it. You know, who would I pick? Good gosh. Anyone inside of the ATA? You know who I learned is in the ATA? Is Ben Skoranek from Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'd pick him.
You pick him.
I'd pick him. He's a Super Bowl champ. We're proud of him as ATA black belt as well. So I'd pick him.
You'd pick him as your, okay, that makes sense. I think Chris
might tackle you though. I don't know.
That's true, but then when I have the refs take you to, that would disqualify you real quick. But Chris and I are going to be practicing for that matchup. One day we'll have that on camera.
Ben, you gotta come help us out, okay?
So you do a lot of interviews, a lot of media, right? So what's one topic or one thing that you wish people would ask you more about?
Things that you would ask me more about is what I want you to ask me more about. I think maybe some people don't want to ask me about our personal life or whatnot. And, I think one of the greatest things about my family lineage, and my father was the founder of ATA, the Eternal Grandmaster, and he's been gone for 25 years. What I've learned so much about him, I learned more about him after his passing. But when you look across here, you can see and meet so many chief masters, grandmasters, masters that knew him, and the ability that they have to carry on his legacy.
What's one thing that you wish more people ask you about?
You know, especially from maybe not within the ATA, but from outside of the ATA, is what I'm curious to know what people think of the ATA that are not in the ATA, right? So I would love to be able to answer those types of questions of what your questions might be. This is your first time at an ATA event, what you're thinking. You know, you have Action Karate, this is a different organization, but what are the organic questions and curiosities that you have about the ATA?
Yeah, and I'll dive into that today. And just so we're clear, the organization started by my brother and I joined on later. And so we have about 34 schools. And one of the things I'm always impressed is like when you can get so many people to come to a tournament that's all internal and not people coming from the outside is spectacular. When I walked in here, there was stickers on the ground that shows you exactly where to walk. There was hanging banners, a giant retail shop. There was even a section that was walled off for the school owners, like a lounge area. And I think that's funny because I think if we had a lounge area, we'd have trouble getting judges. So I'm curious how you guys handle that. There was no one in there. Maybe that's like a trick. It's like whoever goes there, like, you guys shouldn't be in there. But I was very impressed by the whole branding. There's these giant banners hanging up, a whole media team. So I thought that was very cool. And also just like tons of like food options here. So people don't have to like leave. I think when you have your kids, and you're at a convention center or something, you have to like go blocks and come back.
Right.
It'd be a giant pain.
Yeah, we have an incredible team. We've been doing events for a very long time and made a lot of mistakes, learned through the mistakes. But we have a team that knows what our people need to have a great experience overall. And when I say a great experience, I don't mean inside the ring. I mean outside the ring. You know, how close are the hotels that we're hosting What are the price points? Food options. All of those things are taken into consideration because we want the experience to be a holistic, positive experience, because our people have to go, competitors, judges, I mean, they're all volunteers. And so they're taking time out of their day and their life away from their families. We want them to have as positive as experience as possible and have a world-class competition event. So we're very fortunate. We have a very solid team that makes that happen.
So how many man hours do you think it takes to
Oh
put together a
gosh,
tournament like this?
goodness. Well, you're talking, if you look at, we have 72 rings, and you put in 3 judges in each ring, and then you add in, the timekeeper, scorekeeper, you're talking, gosh, 300, 400 people that are making each ring work, times we're going to be here for 8 hours tomorrow.
Multiple days, right? It's like
Yeah, we're
3
here.
days or-
So yes, today is Friday, and then Saturday. So Friday we do a full day of extreme and creative competition. We have team competition. Our team competition sparring is just taken off. We probably have more than 100 teams competing. So team sparring is, imagine just getting 5 people on your team, and you're going to end up sparring matches, 60-second matches, and whoever wins that match, then you send in that team gets to send in the next person onto that to spar, and then whoever won that match actually gets to pick who they're going to spar against, right? And then there's a collective score at the end. Whoever has the most points at the end of all 5 matches wins, and then they go on to the next, and they go on to the next, and then ultimately we have 28 different countries around the world that are in the ATA, and if they have a team, they come to the world. They send their champion teams to the World Championships, and we have the Songam World Cup, and the winner of that becomes world champion team sparring. It's usually what it comes down to a lot of times is Team USA has a big following, and they is very strong as well. So the South American teams versus the USA teams are very strong competitors.
So it's not one of those things where it's like an all-out brawl, like a 5 versus
No,
5.
yeah, no, it's not like WWE.
No.
Everybody's in the ring together.
Okay.
It's one-on-one, but the tactics are different, and your strategies have to be different. And we do allow coaching at the team sparring levels, and so it's a completely different. They're actually doing that today, so if you get to watch it, it's completely different than it is. The energy is up here. The competitive level is a little bit higher. Sometimes some a little bit higher too. And that may not be that's one of the challenging parts, is the emotions get really high because you don't want to let your team down. However, the positive side is you're working with a team. They count on you. You learn how to work together to make sure that you help each other out. And having the team count on you is important, because then you have to follow through.
So how much does it cost to produce a giant tournament like this? We're in Pittsburgh right now. You have the convention center. We have all the hotel rooms. How much did it cost to put this all together?
Gosh, that's a very intricate question, or it's a very intricate answer, because when you're at a level of a convention like this, there are so many complexities that are essentially, it's negotiable, but you also have to deliver a certain amount of visitors. So for instance, this space itself, it's about 150,000 square feet, roughly, just the main floor itself. But then there's all these meetings and breakout rooms. You're probably talking a couple 100,000 just for the space in, a beautiful facility like this in a major town like Pittsburgh. But then when you have history and you have a track record and can prove that track record over time of having, let's say, 1,000 room nights in a space like this, then the city can negotiate with you. If you guarantee a certain amount of room nights, then we'll reduce the rate to, like 90%. I mean, there's so many different areas. Or you may have to contract with them in terms of food and beverage, that you're going to cater X amount of dollars with that. So you're guaranteeing a certain amount of income for them through business and ancillary support income for them. And then most importantly, they want bodies, right? So if we bring here, we have over 2,000 competitors, which we broke a record here in Pittsburgh. That's our biggest Pittsburgh Nationals, is 2,000 competitors. We should probably end up around 2,100. But if you take in all the family members, you're talking upwards of 10,000 people. Pittsburgh having 10,000 visitors come in over a 4-day period is huge business for them. They want that. They want to be able to bring people to their restaurants, their hotels, museums, shops, because that's more tax revenue for the city as well. And it helps the economy locally. So if you had those kinds of numbers, you're able to go back and negotiate hotel rates, negotiate convention center space, and go through that process. But the flip side to that is, let's say if we are guaranteeing them 1,000 room nights over that 4-night period, and there's an attrition rate, if you don't meet that attrition rate, let's just say it's 70%, and then you're on the hook, and we have to pay. Had challenges like that before. We've had to pay the hotel $30,000, $40,000 just because we were not able to book or there was a lot of cancellations. And so then we're on the line for that. Yeah. So we're paying, tens of thousands of dollars for rooms that were empty. There's a flip side to that. There's a liability to it. So we do our best to bring our rates down for our school owners, our competitors, so they can have an overall positive experience.
And when you say negotiate with the city, like hotels are private. The convention center, I'm assuming, isn't owned by the city, or is it owned by?
It's different in every town. It can be either owned by the city. Some places are owned by the county. A lot of times you'll hear things like the Pittsburgh, and I forget what it's called. I think it's called Sports Pittsburgh here. In Little Rock, it's the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau. So there's these travel agencies that are city agencies, and then you work with them. Their whole job is to bring more people, more sports, more events to fill up the convention space. So you end up working with agencies like that.
So what's the biggest tournament you guys have all year?
Our largest one is our World Championships, and that in and of itself, we have, just for the regular competition, we have about 2,500 competitors, and that's bodies. Those competitors end up competing in potentially like 12 different categories of competition. So they're entering in up to 12, 13 different categories, whether it's traditional form, extreme form, creative form, weapons, traditional weapons, sparring, team sparring, combat sparring. We do combat sparring with a stick. Then we have world title competition. So that's at Phoenix, it's a completely different beast. If you feel like this is big, at our Phoenix World Championships is longer. We have more people, we have more events, more training. Yesterday we had 8 hours of training, 3 different tracks, so about 24 hours of different business and martial arts training opportunities. It's not just a tournament. Last night we had a school owner reception. So we like to get our school owners together, break some bread, just have a good time and just be with each other. When you go and talk with people here, you're going to meet people young and old. You'll meet people that have been in the ATA for 50 years, and you'll meet people that have been in the ATA for 5 months. When you are in the ATA, it's going to sound cliche, but the truth is you're part of a bigger family and you're a part of a network. This being a closed tournament, the benefits of that is the fact that you are meeting ATA people from all over the country and many times from all over the world. We have Senior Master Sotomayor that's here from Chile this week. And he actually has about 200 schools and clubs down in Santiago, Chile. Or you can go to any country and go and drop into an ATA school, and they're going to welcome you with open arms. And you're going to speak the same language. You're going to do the same forms. You're going to be able to train with them and be welcome there. Whereas if you go to, if I went to another, let's say a jiu-jitsu school, they're just going to look at me and they're like, sure, you want to come out, and maybe it won't turn out so great if I go work out with them. But with the ATA, it's a family. We may not know each other. It's a large organization. And, but when you see the ATA, all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm ATA, you're ATA. Who's your instructor? Where are you from? It turns into a very natural conversation. And ultimately, you're going to end up having 1, 2, or 3 degrees of separation of, I know that guy, or he's my instructor too. Or, his instructor was my instructor's instructor those conversations are had. And next thing you know, there's a family tree of your Taekwondo lineage. And that's the best part about the ATA. And, what we hope is that others from outside of the ATA will look at that as an opportunity to be a part of something bigger versus, well, they won't welcome me in there. I'm sure that can be a little intimidating. However, I think there's an opportunity for us to meet more. We do have others that do join in, and they love the environment. They love the networking. We have a lot of respect, a lot of protocols, and how we treat each other, how we say yes or no, sir. Our titles, that those are very strict because that's our structure. However, our personalities and our friendships, we'll go out and have a drink afterwards and, break some bread together and have a good time, and then it's always about how's your family? We watch our children grow up together. Next thing you know, they're competing together. Next thing you know, they're the ones opening up new schools. I mean, we're getting into that generation now where my generation and the younger generation underneath me are actually starting to become school owners. And that's that organic growth just from internally that we're so fortunate to have. And that's the ATA. And that's the ATA. We're gonna live forever. We just have to work hard, continue evolving, which is Eternal Grandmasters. That was always his people misconceive. They think that he was a traditionalist, but he changed things. He evolved all the time. There was not a single time in his history that he just stayed in one direction. What people misconceive is that there may be a 5-year period where they realize that he was so strong in this direction. But then after that 5-year period, they're like, well, you know what? This will work better if we just tweak it just a little bit. Or if we, like, let's just say, the color, the Songham forms, that's our backbone. That's who we are as Songham Taekwondo. But how we teach it, because it was originally designed for adults. Well, now in the 80s, we had this huge boom of children come in. We credit the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi, Daniel LaRusso, for helping establish that. But around that time, then we also launched Karate for Kids program. And then now it's, 80% children and 20% adults. It's the flip. So all these forms were designed for adults. Well, how do we teach that for children? There was a lot of shifting that happened, a lot of pivoting, but the core of what we teach is still the same. It's just how we teach it. How can we teach it better? Those things were evolutionary in terms of Eternal Grandmaster's mind, and he was open to the change. That's a positive thing. We all need to be able to change and evolve and get stronger by growing. So that's essentially ATA in a nutshell, unless there's something specific about the ATA.
Yeah, so ATA's been around for a long time. So how do you guys stay modern? Like, how do you update and grow so you don't go stale or stagnant, especially with the growth of NA, the UFC? How do you stay relevant?
Well, we stay relevant by we listen to our school owners. We see what the trends are happening, what's going on these days in the martial arts industry. I remember when we first introduced extreme martial arts in 2004. And in my mind, at that time, that was 20 years ago, 21 years ago. And we were a traditional martial arts organization. It was like it was a shock to the system. And we had a large number of people that almost rejected it, but we continue to stay. We count on our people. We have strong licensees or school owners that stay on top of the trends. And from ATA side, we don't control what they teach in each school and how they teach it. What we do work with them on is preserving Songham Taekwondo and that intellectual property. So if they decide they're going to teach extreme martial arts or MMA in their school or kickboxing, we're happy about that. In that process, we're constantly learning about what's new in the industry, what's working, what's not working. But the one thing that has worked for 56 years is traditional Taekwondo. It works. It has worked. We have schools that do after school programs and that's half of their income and they'll do $1 million a year. We have schools that only do Songham Taekwondo in their schools. No after school, no MMA, no jiu-jitsu. And those schools will also do $1 million a year just based on Songham Taekwondo. So it works. It can work. I believe it's what you focus on. and how you get there and how you teach it. It's not necessarily just what you teach, but it's how you teach it.
So, do you think Taekwondo as a sport or martial arts style is growing in like the overall culture, or do you think it's shrinking?
I can tell you in the ATA is growing. And in our culture, what we did in this last 2 years is we reinforced our mission statement of building champions beyond the belt. And we put our core focus onto our core values. And what I've seen happen here is it's reignited our core values within the organization. We launched it for our own ATA headquarters staff, and we have about 60 team members at ATA International headquarters. And we did that for our own corporate structure system. And I announced it out to the school owners and all the students here at the ATA. And many of them have either adopted our core values as their core values, or it inspired them to create their own core values within their school based on the overall mission statement of the ATA. And so when I look, ATA is strong. We're growing. We have new schools opening. We have some schools closing. So that's our focus is how do we make our existing schools stronger, and how do we look at opportunities for growth, whether it be for an existing school to open up another club or another school, or their junior to open up a club or another school, or even someone coming in from outside of the A that has martial arts experience that wants to be a part of this. And I believe Taekwondo is here to stay. You know, some people have shifted to Krav Maga, and that's great. I've taken Krav Maga. I love it. This is a great workout. Taekwondo has been here for ATA has been here for 56 years. We're not going anywhere. We're growing. We're continuing to grow. And if you talk to any of these family members, you'll hear the same thing. You know, I realize that MMA, jiu-jitsu, it has really taken off. And that's fantastic. I think what they're doing is great. I've been to schools to see what they're doing, and it's fantastic. Again, I don't necessarily think it's what you're doing. I think it's how you do it, and how you deliver it, and how you teach it, how you keep them engaged. Because let's face it, children these days have short attention spans. I mean, this is creating, even for adults, you know, it's addictive. That's what it's designed to do. But look, you see anybody out here right now on their iPhones that are competing or they're getting ready to compete, they are focused. And that's what's so great about the martial arts is we get to help them gain that discipline and that structure that they're not getting on a normal basis. Or if they're playing volleyball, baseball, football, they may be sitting on the bench a lot. But here, this is a competition of you against yourself. Yes, it's a competition to see who wins first place, second place, third place. But you don't just come here and lose because you didn't get third place or higher. You win because you got out there and you overcame your fear of performing, or you gained the communication skills to get out there and to yell and scream like a black belt. You know, those are things that live building champions, not by medals, but by individual growth. And we say it's beyond the belt because you take that belt off and it's going to carry over into your normal life. You know, that's the beauty of martial arts. That's what my dad called traditional. It's not about Taekwondo. It's about the traditional values, life skills that we're instilling in people and practicing ourselves. That's what we call traditional, the traditional values.
And one of my favorite quotes that I love to live by is one by Frederick Douglass, where he says, "It's easier to build strong kids than to fix broken adults." And I feel like that's what martial arts does. Right? It builds strong kids where they're not just going to school and then just hitting their iPad and playing on that for the next 6 hours before they go to bed, or they, maybe go to baseball, they come home and fill that rest of the time. They're working on these life skills that's going to translate to every area in their life.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
with that being said, every student, when you have like many students, you're going to have your A students, your B students, and your C students, right? A students always show up on time. They're prepared to test the curriculum. They pay on time, love talking to the parents, right? The C students are showing up with a dirty uniform, maybe, right? Like they never know their stuff. Parents always have an issue with maybe tuition. They're always complaining about something. What people don't realize is when you run multiple martial arts schools, you're going to have A schools, B schools, and C schools, right? Not every school is going to be $1 million a year,
Right.
right? So what are some of the things that the C schools are not doing that you wish they did, like an A school?
Wow. So we've seen, because you have ups and downs all the time with business, and in the membership business, you've got so many ancillary outside forces that are going to affect you, whether it be the economy, whether it be something like COVID coming, a natural disaster, or your competitors coming into a marketplace. But the difference that I've seen over and over and over again in the schools that succeed at a high level, at an A level, or the schools that were at an A level and drop down to a B or C level in their revenue streams and their membership, is their I don't want to say a lack of discipline, but it's kind of their lack of discipline approach when it comes to business. When you ask them questions like, are you doing external events? Do you have marketing online? Are you doing Facebook organic postings? Do you have an open house event? Are you doing demos? Are you passing out flyers, for crying out loud? Oh no, we used to do that. No, we did that at one point. No, we don't do that anymore. And you start to dig in, you realize that over time they get comfortable because things are working. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with digital media these days is it works until it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work and you stopped all your other guerrilla type marketing, now you're stuck with no wipeouts. And that's a problem. It creates complacency, creates almost laziness. You're like, this is so easy. All I have to do is pump in $1,000 and I'll get 20 new wipeouts next month. Well, it doesn't necessarily always work that way. And I know you're a big proponent on organic marketing, getting in on the ground, internal marketing, external marketing, getting in front of students and schools. And that is so important. These days with social media and AI and all of these automated components, especially as it pertains to marketing, is dangerous, in my opinion. It's very helpful until it's not, because we're never going to be on top of Facebook's algorithms, Instagram, and all of these social media giants. They're evolving faster than we can even think. That, I think, is a dangerous part. So if I were to give any of the schools that are struggling any advice, it's go back to what worked and get your system in place and work your butt off to make that system work. If it worked in the past, it's probably going to work again now. What's happened is you've just let it go. But even at our school, we didn't focus on social media. We focus on external marketing. This last month we have at Little Rock School, we have six trial memberships signed up from social media. And we have 14 that came in from an event that we did. It took them 8 hours to get that 14. Actually, they got about 60 leads, and they brought in 14 new wipeouts from that. Would you rather work 8 hours in a day and get 14 wipeouts that are paid trials ready to go versus 6 that you paid $1,000 for? I'd rather work 8 hours and knock it out.
Especially when you can control it. I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
And you're right, because with organic marketing, everyone needs digital paid ads, right? You need to hire, you need to do it yourself or hire a company like GoPro, right? Or to run your social media ads. You should have that. That's like one pillar of your marketing. But the other pillar of your marketing that you need is the organic side, like the grassroots. And that's what people have kind of rested on their laurels. They kind of sat on their hands, because when Facebook came out and you could throw money at it, it's way easier to hit boost posts than it is to go teach a bunch of kids at a local public or private school.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that school owners come to me for, including some ATA school owners here, is that they want to be able to control the inflow. With social media, you click a couple of buttons, you kind of hope the algorithm works out, right? Well, with organic, you're going out and you're recruiting people.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a multi-school owner, you have more than one. Ads, even the best ads in the world, they eventually stop working. It's called ad fatigue. It just stops. So you always have to make new ads. What happens is ad costs always go up over time and lead quality trends down.
Right.
Okay. Especially when people can click a button, it fills out something. They go, I don't even live near you. Like, I never clicked that. And they get mad at you over the phone, right? So, for that reason,
all the time,
you need to,
all the time, or it's like 300 miles away.
Yeah.
Like, why are you calling me?
Exactly. And then a multi-martial arts school owner, when they have multiple locations, the one location is not doing well. And they're like, these are bad leads, right? They blame the leads. And some of it might be a lead follow-up, but sometimes like the lead quality actually isn't that good.
Right.
But what you can do is you can go out, like what I teach, what I call the triangle codex system, which is it's a 3-pillar system I use to recruit new students organically through local public and private schools, daycares / preschools, and small businesses.
Good.
Okay? So how to go out and recruit new members, because then you can control the inflow. Hey, go to the school. Here's what to say. Here's how to say it. And then here's how to actually get them the funnel to be a new student. Now, a lot of school owners are a little bit scarred. They've done school programs before. They did PE teacher for a day, for weeks, or for months.
Right.
They go back and forth, and then they spread their resources really thin. So it doesn't actually end up having new students. Like, yeah, they'll have like some goodwill in the community, but goodwill is not paying your rent, right? Or paying your instructors. So you have to have a system to get people in as quickly as possible. Like I always say there's 3 dominoes. Hacking your way in, how to get accepted. Because since COVID, it's way harder to get into schools.
Right.
And every school owner, not every, some school owners say, my school district is tough. Oh, mine's impossible. And it's like, you might have had a bad slice of pizza before. It doesn't mean you never have pizza again.
Absolutely.
It just requires follow-up, right? And the right thing, the right scripts.
Yeah. Right scripts. And if it doesn't work this way, you got to go this angle. If it doesn't work this
Exactly.
angle, you got to work this angle. Or maybe somebody is a student at that school that has a relationship with the PTA. I mean, you have to work it. If you don't work it, it'll never work. It's the end of the day, my dad's saying was today not possible, tomorrow possible. We were just talking about this. He got deported in 1962. He got deported back to Korea. And he would have said, oh, you know what? The government sent me back and I give up. But he didn't. And if he did, we would not be here today. You would not see 2,000 families being here today. It's 1,200 HEA schools around the world. If he would have just taken no for an answer in the face of the U.S. government and immigration, which would have been the easy answer to do, it's probably been, 99% of us would have been like, I guess I'm not going back. But he found his way back. It's because he didn't take no for an answer.
So there's 3 dominoes, and I say always need to fall when it comes to organic marketing, especially setting up partnerships with schools, daycares, and businesses, right? First of all, schools and daycares and businesses, they aren't going anywhere. Right. Facebook, the algorithm changes like that. Yep. AWS goes down, you can't use a bunch of your crap online.
Yes.
So that stuff is going to be evergreen, right? Taekwondo, traditional, evergreen, right? That other stuff might change over time. Maybe XMA turns into something else, right? Or there's some other categories you add, but there's some things that are going to be consistent, right? Yeah. So we find that there's 3 dominoes that need to fall. One, you got to hack your way in. So how to get past the gatekeeper. So if they say, send me an email, or, oh, you got to be approved by district. How do you get around that? So you're not just like pushed off into the ether and leads to nowhere. The second thing is, how do you create a program that the school actually wants? So a lot of times school owners, they'll go to a school, a martial arts school owners, they'll go to a school and they'll say, oh, we'll teach bullying or bully prevention or whatever. Yep. Some schools don't even want that now.
Yeah.
You say that, they're automatically like, get the hell out. You know why? Because A, they already have that education, or B, anytime they've ever had someone come in, talk about anti-bullying, all of a sudden all the kids are saying they're getting bullied and they get calls from the parents and they're like, we're never having that karate school back here ever again. So when I teach people, it's like, you need to customize what you teach based on what that school wants. Talk to the principal and the guidance counselor. Say, hey, just like every child is different, every school is different. What issues do you guys have this year that you think the kids might benefit from hearing someone from the outside? And then when you customize your class based on what they want, you're going to recruit cheerleaders. They're going to tell everyone about you. You go back to that school year after year. You go back there for decades, right? Yeah. So the second part is how to set up a program and teach it exactly based on what they want. And so the kids are so excited to come back to your school. And then third is, how do you get them to come to your school and actually convert them into new students? No trials, no discounted tuition, straight to full membership. You have those 3 things, you never have to worry about social media, but you'll never have to depend on that stuff ever again. So if you're a multi-school owner, especially, I always say, like, if you don't have the organic arm and you're just hoping, like, the instructors will get mad at you or the operators of school if the ads aren't working, or if the leads aren't good enough, or they teach them a system how to recruit people. It's kind of like digging a well. You're going to get sweaty. Your fingers going to get dirt in it. It's going to be tough. Once you dig that well, you can drink out of it forever, right? So is there anything else that's working in the ATA schools that you think is like an evergreen strategy that we should all be doing?
Good. I think for the most part, the strategies that do work are the ones that have always worked. Aside from the evolution of social media marketing, is the, like you said, it's the on the ground. My experience, that's where I got the majority of our new members. Has always been into the schools at festivals. You can literally pick up 10 in one day, 10 paid trials in one day, and then an additional 5 to 10 that were your leads that you followed up on.
Yeah.
You can do that for one day, or you can sweat it out through social media and pay $1,000, $2,000 on social media and hope they're going to come in and hope that they're good leads and trials. I take that one day of work over social media any day. Now you need both. You need both. And then your word of mouth inside your school's got to be strong. If your product's not strong, your word of mouth is not going to be strong. Word of mouth referral systems is the third way that you got to make it work. For us, being in the ATA, it's just a national brand. It's an international brand. And so that's something that they can have behind them as they're selling their memberships and explaining their products, is that you become a member of a family, international family of the ATA. And we have wonderful tournaments. If you decide to move to another major city, the chances are there's going to be an ATA licensed location there. You'll get to keep your rank. You'll get to learn the same forms. And so it'll be almost like you never stop. And that for us is a major benefit of being in the ATA.
So how do you ensure quality when you have that many schools, right? Because it only takes one to ruin the reputation for them all, right? Like one scandal on the news.
We've gone through that. We've gone through it, and that's always going to happen. Unfortunately, there are things that are out of your control as an organization. You have to fight to recover from it. Anytime something negative happens at one of your locations, and work with it. The overall good of the organization is better than any bad experience, bad apple scenarios. One of my initiatives now is how do we set the industry standard for making safe environments for children, safe environments for men and women, making it where the martial arts industry is synonymous with being a safe industry overall, not just physically, but also emotionally and every other aspect of that. And so I do want to work with other large organizations, perhaps like Century, to help create the standard for all martial arts organizations. Because at the end of the day, if your school has bad publicity or my school has bad publicity, it's bad for the martial arts industry overall. And most importantly, we want our children to be safe, no matter what. That is the number one focus in this initiative. We want our children, our instructors, and all of our family members and the adults to have a safe environment. If it's not for them, it's not for them. If they lose, they lost. That's not it. It's about making sure that we create a safe environment.
Yeah, I think at a minimum, every school owner, every instructor you have needs to be background checked. State and federal.
Yes.
Right? We're talking about $50 here. This is not a lot of money, right?
Yep.
Like to do that thing on your own. I don't know how. Do you guys do it separately?
We do a global investigation where they do it. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks to get.
You send FBI agents to their house, knock on their door, yell at them like, "Have you ever had a parking ticket?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of our trainee instructors to certified instructors get a background check. And every time you do a testing, you get another background check. And our goal is to get an annual background check for every instructor every year. That's our goal. And it's going to be a cumbersome project. However, that's how important it is for the ATA to maintain a safe environment for families and children.
Parents trust their kids with us, right?
Right.
We do. How many places now do parent night outs where you just leave your kids for 3 hours with some random dude that,
Absolutely.
you just started paying 3 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So if they have that trust in us, like background checks, by the way, this also includes volunteer instructors. If you have some random adult who's on the mat and is seemingly, from a parent's perspective, is now in like a leadership position, it can't be like, oh, well, he's not on my payroll, so I didn't background check him. He's in a leadership position or she's in a leadership position. Everyone needs to be background checked. It can't be you do it once every 5 years. It has to be consistent. The second thing I think you need is cameras. And this is going to sound crazy, but working cameras, okay? With audio and video. You can buy cameras now $50 a piece on Amazon. And you can see exactly what's going on, what's happening. Not only can you watch quality control of the class, But if someone falls and breaks their ankle, someone says they were touched inappropriately, God forbid,
Right.
like you have something to
Yep.
protect your
Something
staff.
to fall back.
What's more important than that? Right. So between background checks and cameras, like those, like that's like bare.
That's bare minimum. The cameras are easy to, like you said, you can just get, everyone has a video camera on their doorbell now with a ring. I mean, it's so easy to set these things up through the Wi-Fi and capture it. I mean, we have it at our schools, and somebody was asking me, why are you doing it? We're never going to do anything. I said, well, it's not only to protect the families, it's also to protect our instructors. And sometimes there may be some false allegations, unfortunately, or they said this, but we have video that proves otherwise. So it's for everyone's protection, not just one sided.
It's
It's
super
like
easy
plug and
now.
play. You use your iPhone. Yeah, I mean it's so simple now. It's so simple.
One of the things I've really been pushing for in the industry, and I'm curious what you think about this. I'm a big sports fan. Okay, love football, and especially. And one of the things they do in all sports is they watch film review.
You
Okay,
watch film.
film review. Yeah, they watch game film review. So on Mondays, they call it Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
Is you'll watch the game film and you see not only what you didn't do well, when did you throw an interception or I don't know, fumble the ball, whatever. But they also look at when did you throw a touchdown? How do we repeat those same things?
Yeah.
Sometimes you do things consciously, sometimes unconsciously. So one of the things I'm really trying to push for in the industry is us watching film like a professional athlete. You're a professional martial arts instructor.
It's great.
Why aren't you watching your classes? Right? Like you should sit down with your staff and say, okay, let's watch the beginner class today. Let's watch the Tiny Tigers or the Black Belt class. Because everyone thinks they're like the most amazing teacher and know everything that's going on. But until you watch the film, you don't really know what happened.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a big proponent of having the cameras, sitting down with your team and reviewing randomly. I'm not saying randomly, like picking a random class, or maybe a class where you have more attrition in. If you're having a lot of Tiny Tigers quit,
Yeah.
or a lot of, I don't know, mid-range purple belt, like intermediate, cool. Let's watch those classes, see what's happening. And that's the only way you know. And also, you might notice things that your instructor does really well and you want to point out. It's not like, oh, here's all the things you're doing wrong.
That I think that's genius. I wish I would have thought of that. But yeah, and you just gotta create that culture within your staff. It is that we're here to grow. And yes, you may make a mistake, but what can we improve? And yes, we do have what we call positive correction or correct praise in our structure. Let's focus on what they did well. What can they improve? If you don't have that kind of culture within your staff and they're constantly being told you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, they're never going to learn. They're never going to grow. As a matter of fact, they're going to get worse because they think they're so damn good. The hardest thing to do if you're in front of the camera is to watch yourself after the fact. That's hard. We're in front of the cameras. I'm going to watch this because I know that I've said something that I need to learn how to be better at. I don't get in the front of the cameras as much as I used to anymore. But the more that we're exposed to that vulnerability as individuals, martial artists, and instructors, the more that we're going to be open to growing. I should have said this better, or my Southern accent's coming back out. I got to work on that. There's all these different things, but instructors are the same thing. We do that at ATA in our legacy program. We teach instructors how to teach, and we do what's called role playing. And it's really difficult to be on the receiving end of that because you think you're so good or you're being put on the spot. For our instructor program, it's actually part of your journey. How do you learn and grow as an instructor on the spot? And how can you enforce our legacy quadrant components so that you're a better instructor? If you're a better instructor, it doesn't mean you're going to go open a Taekwondo school. We'd love for that to happen. But what it means is when you go to high school, you go to college, or if you go and get a career, or just in your relationships, you're going to learn how better to have confidence in everything that you do, how to have a strong voice, how to make eye contact, how to use pace and peak in all of your presentations. There's so many of those things that translate beyond the belt into your life. And we'd love for you to be an instructor for the rest of your life. But we know that's just not feasible. We do have a career path for you to open a school someday. And if we can capture 10%, that'd be fantastic. But no matter what, the values of this or what you're learning will be forever. And having that call on camera so you can say, listen, this is real world. That's genius. I'm gonna steal that one. I'm gonna write it
Yeah,
down and steal it.
definitely do it. And I'll learn for myself, like in my coaching consulting, right? I have examples that I give people of me doing mass enrollments with schools where I messed it up. The video is a recording of me messing it up and me commenting, I said this wrong. I
Right.
did this
Yeah.
horribly. And that way you learn from it, right? And it is painful to watch yourself. That's the hardest part. It's very cringe. My voice is terrible. I don't know. My hair's messed up. I've spit in my mouth. I don't know. But
I spit a lot when I'm
it's all over the camera right now.
yeah.
But that's how you're going to learn more than anything. Like,
Right.
I think instructors too often, they grow stale because they did it for so long as a student, but they don't grow as and they grew to a certain level as an instructor, but they're like, oh, I know what correct praise or praise challenge praise is, or I know how to give proper feedback, but they don't grow as an instructor at a certain level, or they stop training themselves, they grow stale that way.
What's happened?
So you always have to be adapting because otherwise you're going to get crushed by the young school owner down the street
Right.
who's very excited and has a lot of energy, and they're going to do the stuff that you don't feel like doing. If you used to do school programs and now you just do Facebook ads, another guy's going to start doing it, and then they're going to dominate you. They're going to become the go-to. So the organic stuff, the fundamentals, you need to push it and get cameras in your school, like please.
It's really just going back to basics. You know, the things that have worked in the past still work today. You know, the basic foundations of your business are still there. Yes, there are some things that have evolved, and you know, AI is crazy. And how is that going to affect the
Is
business?
this AI right now?
What's that?
Is this AI right now?
I'm pretty sure that they don't know the difference.
Oh.
Yeah. I wish
Okay.
AI would have given me a little bit more hair today. But yeah, it's the core components. You think that, you know, that there's like a silver bullet that's going to fix everything just by pumping in a little bit of money into it. But it really just comes back down to the basic human connection. You know, when you meet somebody face to face and you shake their hand and you make an impact with them in that first 5 minutes and you get them to break a board and show them how to have structure and you build their confidence up, that is powerful. You can't get that on Facebook. You can't get that on Instagram. You can barely get that on Zoom, you know, but face to face, we learned that during COVID. Well, COVID, Zoom saved us. Everyone hates Zoom now. But I had an instructor that worked for me and he says, I hate Zoom. I said, don't you ever say that again. Zoom saved us in the middle of the pandemic. Yes, it's hard. And
Yeah.
it's not fun, but it's now, I mean, look at the positive things that come from that. We have face-to-face meetings with people across the world all the time. Whereas before it was, oh, let's set up a meeting. I'll send you a fax or, you know, these types of things. But now you can actually see each other. So there's some positive things that came out from COVID and the lockdowns, but nothing will ever replace this face-to-face.
Yep.
So I'm glad you're here doing this face-to-face interview. Imagine doing it over Zoom.
Yeah.
It's more fun, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Listen, you texted me less than a week ago. I've been hawking this guy now for probably 2 years. Messages over and over and over again. And finally, we were going to do a digital, and you're like, hey, come to the tournament next week. And I was like, next week? I don't have a production team. And you're like, I got you. So the fact you're able to make this work, always better.
Yeah.
Like, people didn't start their martial arts schools so they could teach on Zoom.
Right.
Like, they did it so they could teach in person. Like, sometimes even I lose that when I'm doing a lot of media stuff online. It's like, well, like, I didn't start this so I can do everything online. I want to meet people. Like, meeting some of my people here today I work with is like, for fun, right?
It's more fun.
So,
Isn't
way
this
more
more
fun.
fun?
Yeah.
I know this is annoying because it's really loud,
Yeah.
but we're not going to stop that. We just
No,
got to get
no,
around it. I
absolutely.
mean, always take action. You got to have discipline, focus, persevere.
So I want to know, what does a life in the day look like for Taekwon?
Life in the day of Taekwon Lee. I usually get up around 4 to 5.
Wait, you get up at 4 a.m.
I get up between 4 and 5 a.m. every
Okay.
morning. My goal
Is
is
that an alarm or natural?
it's natural. I
Okay.
usually get up. If I don't get up by 5, my lights turn on automatically. So it's a natural wake up progression. I actually like waking up that way better.
Wait,
Uh,
is Vanessa already awake?
She usually wakes up with me. It's
Okay.
usually around that same time. If I usually get up before her, then I set the coffee up and
Okay.
be a good husband. Then I work out 4 to 5 times a week. My goal is at least 2 times martial arts, and then 2 times I do Orange Theory Fitness, which is great workout. And it stays consistent. I love that coaching environment where I don't have to think. I just
You
do.
like the group
Yeah, I
environment,
love the group
like
workout.
Taekwondo.
Now I lead the class workout, so I enjoy that part too. So I get to teach in Taekwondo side. So I do that.
What
Uh,
time is that? So you wake up at 5, let's say.
so yeah, so then I have to do my father duties. So I get my daughter up. My daughter's up. My youngest one, I help get her dressed. We feed her, and then originally I wasn't taking them to school. This year I took on the responsibility of driving them to school, and it used to be a burden, but now I'm learning that this is a great time to connect with them and to talk with them, especially in times where I'm traveling. So when I'm there, it gives me that separate opportunity to connect with them because they're so busy with after school programs and, cotillion and volleyball and everything. And they go to Taekwondo. And by that time, I'm ready to come home from the headquarters school. So, we'll do that. And then I go work out after I drop them off. And then, I get to, my days are filled with many different meetings, sometimes many different phone calls from across the country and across the world. What are the opportunities as a visionary of ATA or CEO? We call it visionary because we've adopted the EOS system. And my job, my directive is to, what are we doing? What are we doing to grow this organization? What are we doing to help people grow that's in the organization? How do I get to my 10-year mark of 10,000 schools someday? And I got to think outside the box. My dad once told me, he goes, I looked across and I said, oh my gosh, Dad, this is amazing. Look at all these people here. We actually have Australia ATA now. Isn't that amazing? He goes, son, that's too small for you. You got to think bigger than that. Okay. Antarctica. I mean, what are you talking about? He goes, no, you got to think about Mars. Think about the aliens someday. And, I said, Dad, you're joking, right? He goes, no, you got to think bigger. What I took from that conversation is I got to think bigger. And so that what has helped me in that process is currently we're in a college. We have what's called Salam University. And that was a vision of Eternal Grandmaster that he casted out about 30 years ago. And it just came to fruition about 5 years ago. And we tried multiple times. It failed and failed and failed. And finally it did. We have some great people like Senior Master Demetrius Hill.
Explain how that works.
So you can get a 2-year Associate's Applied Science degree with Salam Taekwondo as one of the primary focuses. And it's an online education system through Lee College, and they offer it as an accredited college program. So you take Salam Taekwondo, you go on to these courses, you sign up for the traditional courses, and you learn the forms and how to teach the forms. And then there's also a practicum. So it's like the trade school environment. In your practicum, then you have to go and work at a Taekwondo school where you're training and go learn at a Taekwondo school for 8 hours a week. So you're learning the trade of the martial arts business. And then at the 2 years, and then also you have to take the regular marketing courses that the college offers and the other general education courses. And at the end of that, then you'll have gotten probably 12 credit hours throughout the time with just purely Salam Taekwondo, and then your practicum in an ATA martial arts school. And then at the end of that, then you have an applied science degree. It's that simple. And then our goal is to help place you into another ATA school. If your school isn't hiring, then to place you into another ATA school or open up your own club in your own school. This year, we had our first graduates of that program. We had about 12 or 13 graduate either with a certificate or an AA degree in that. And we're also working with Texas A&M to get that incorporated. And then we took it to the next level with high school programs. We actually have a high school program in Texas, and we have a high school program in Alaska that I just met with them, the Dempsey family, and they have.
You tried university.
Yeah, so it'd be easier.
You went right to Texas, Alaska.
I know, the furthest places across the globe. But that statement of think bigger by Eternal Grandmaster, my father, makes me understand that this is, what we're doing is not just the belt. It's not just about brick and mortar karate schools and businesses. It's how are we going to get and teach the traditional values of Salam Taekwondo to as many people as we can. If you look at out here, you're going to see these incredible athletes that are high level. When they're tricking, they're doing, I don't even know how many. 720 was a big number for me back then. Now it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
1080 and 20,
Yeah.
30, 49, whatever.
720 is probably beginner now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, but then you also look and you'll find the age brackets of 60, 70, 80-year olds. We had a master, the highest age was 92 years old. And he was Dr. Harlan Manley. He started when he was 60 and he earned his mastership almost 30 years later. And he passed away, but he was a World War I veteran. And his plane crashed twice and he survived it. It's an incredible story. I have it and I can share it. I usually share it every Veterans Day. He was an incredible man. But that's Songham Taekwondo. We have from 4 to 94, and that's not exaggeration. And everywhere in between, you'll see all body types in here. You'll also see different cognitive skills, physical skills. We have what we call our special abilities division. And what's so great this year, after about 30 years of work, Special Olympics, with our partnership with them, has accepted Taekwondo as an official sport in Special Olympics. Non-combative
Amazing.
sports. It all started when Eternal Grandmaster was on stage in Little Rock there's a gentleman here. His name's Brad Rains, Down syndrome. He's about 50, I think he's 51 or about almost 50 years old now. But he's been training with us and he's a third-degree black belt now. And they did a demonstration on stage with he and his friends. My father came up on stage and he goes, "This is the Special Olympics demo team." He called them the Special Olympics demo team. And from that point on, everyone said, well, Eternal Grandmaster thinks they should be in the Special Olympics. Why not? And we've fought for that ever since then. We've got so many great people in the ATA that volunteer their time because they believe in that vision. And now Special Olympics has been accepted in all 50 states as an official sport. So yet there's one more thing that was impossible 30 years ago. And now today it's possible. That is my father's saying. Today not possible, tomorrow possible. He doesn't want that to be just my mantra and these people's mantra. He wants that to be everyone's mantra. Don't give up. What worked in the past will work again in the future if you don't give up. If you get deported, fight to come back. If you have a vision, you're going to fail. You got to fail forward. That's part of our growth mindset. That's one of our core values is how do you fail forward? How do you continue to have growth in extremities? Don't get that pressure is there for a reason. Everyone's going to feel pain, but pain is the body's way of telling you got to fix something. If you just take pain and accept it and don't change anything, then you're going to ultimately get worse. So too is life. You get hurt by a relationship. Maybe there's a way to grow from that. Your business failed. Well, what can I learn from that process versus just holding up shop and going home? If you continue the ones, every single person, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these people are successful today because of their failures yesterday. If we allow ourselves to learn and grow from our failures, no matter how embarrassing or how terrible the situation was, you're going to grow. Many people don't know this about the ATA. At one point, we were almost bankrupt. Eternal Grandmaster tried multiple different projects, and it really hurt the financials back in the 90s. There was a troublesome time. What did he do? He didn't just give up. He kept fighting. And now look where we are today. A lot of people didn't think that ATA would survive past the founder's death. We have about 20 ninth degree masters in the ATA now. About 25 years ago, that was not even possible. That was a rule. There could only be one ninth degree. Well, we have 20 of them now. So we've evolved in that process. And those people have been here for 45, 50 years. Our organization is very strong. Our people are very strong. Our core values are very strong. And they're all based upon Eternal Grandmaster's mission, what he did. And some people are here not just to have $1 million school. They don't care about making $1 million every school. They care about continuing their passion in martial arts and passing it on to maybe 20, 30, 40 more people that month. And that's their purpose. And we support that. There's a place for you here. There's others. You had someone on your podcast as an ATA school owner. He does $1 million a year plus. I think that was his goal. He had a financial goal. We embraced him as well. There's so many different walks of life. Part of our promise is that whether it's for your business or for your lifestyle, ATA is here for you. We want to help you achieve your best. So that's when I look at Eternal Grandmaster's vision, we're very proud that we're fulfilling that. I know where there's room for growth. We always know that we can always grow and get better, but we got to look beyond the traditional means of what does it mean to have an ATA location.
And you're right, fail forward, right? Like you
Right.
wouldn't tell your student, oh, you didn't get first place, maybe you should quit, right? Like, no, you got to keep on going.
Yeah, there's going to
And
be more people here that walk away without a medal than do.
right,
And it's our goal to make sure that they understand that it's important to do not just get a medal. It's important to learn something new. It's important to make a new friend. It's important to have fun. And those are the three main components for you to do. Making new friends. If you came back to these tournaments here, you're going to ultimately make new friends. And the more you're involved with these people here, you'll end up making lifetime of friends. These people that I'm friends with, I've known them, and I'm not exaggerating, for all of my life. There's people, those ninth degrees that I talked about, that remember the day that I was born. They tell me that they changed my diapers and all those things. But it's true. It is, there's no exaggeration to that. But that's the power of the ATO's organization, the family. People are here. Well, we lose people. People go. Sometimes we let people go. And we do it for our reasons. Maybe their core values aren't aligned with ours. We've had family members that have gone away. It's okay. To each their own. If this isn't if this isn't for you, it's not for you. We think that for a vast majority, there's a place for you here. And I do invite others to inquire about it that are not in the ATA. We would love to hear from you and see if there's a place for you in the future here with us.
so how do you keep a strong leadership position when some of the school owners have known you since you were in diapers?
Well, that's a very good question. Yeah, they've seen my dirty diapers. Here's the thing is leadership is action. And if you are driven by a vision, your mission statement, if you're driving through with your core values and you're in alignment with those same people, that yes, I was known as the kid. And people wanted me to step up, but I guarantee you the first time that I mess up royally, they're going to be the first people to point that out. I'm not getting a pass on those things. And I count on them to hold me accountable to being the right leader from the business aspect of it. And I've already been called out a couple of times. Believe me, I get called out. And
What,
sometimes,
what have you been called out for that's been valid?
there's different things. As a business, we have to make certain business decisions. There's some hard aspects of it. These people are my family. And sometimes, they may have a certain direction or they've gotten away with something for so long that maybe they're not paying their bills the right way or whatever. You have to say, listen, we are a business. If you need help, we'll help you. We can help you, but we need to know. Also, you've got to follow through with some of these things. Maybe sometimes we're a little bit too harsh, and we've been called out on that. But overall, at the end of the day, we all know that we're going to make mistakes, and we all know that we have our principles, and as long as we stick to our principles, we're good. But these people have my back overall. They want me to succeed. They wanted any CEO that came into this position to be successful. Whether they had a personal issue with that person or not, they want that person to be successful, because if I'm successful as the CEO, then the entire ATA will be successful. So we grow together. It is not just about my position. It's about how do we grow the entire organization together. And that's why I know that they feel that in their hearts, and they know that's in my heart. And I have the best intentions to help them grow. That they will they'll always be behind me in that sense. And if I'm not, then maybe I deserve the boot.
So give me an example of like, not just generic, but a real example of like a lesson you've learned since you've become CEO, stepping in big shoes. Like you can't fill your father's shoes, right? Like you gotta have your own, right? So like, tell me like a specific example lesson that you've learned since taking over the organization.
My goodness. You know, it's interesting that you talked about filling my dad's I won't fill his shoes, and I'm not going to try.
I wouldn't want you to.
Yeah, right. He wants me to make my own pathway following his guidance, his principles, and the evolution. He knows that he wouldn't know everything that's going to happen in the future. As long as we stick to our core values and our mission. What I've learned just in the last 2.5 years coming back into this position is how much weight he carried. And I still don't know how much weight he carried because he was in he wore different shoes than I did. There's a lot of heart that you have to have in this seat because we are a business, but our focus is on how do we build champions and build them beyond the bell. How do you help school owners out and when they're in a tough situation? And then also, how do you not get taken advantage of? And that's another lesson of where's that balance? Because if I gave let's just give children as an example. If I gave my child a yes on everything she wanted, will she ever learn anything? Because how much do you give and take and then hold with accountability? I'm still learning that area of what is too much and what's not enough. Where's that sweet spot? And to not be taken advantage of. To some degree, human nature, like, oh, well, yeah, he gave it to me, so I'm going to take it. Because you got to balance that out, right? Sometimes how many sleepless nights, what I'm learning is how many sleepless nights there are when there's either some stressful times or a new initiative, or am I making the wrong mistake? Or, those things are just that human nature. I'm a person of high anxiety. I've always had anxiety. I grew up in Arkansas in the 80s where diversity was non-existent. I grew up in the sticks. We had well water. Not many people maybe know that. My dad loved going out into the peace and quiet. I mean, think about seeing this all the time. You need to have a retreat. So he did that. I always felt like it was a personal attack on my life because here I am, an Asian kid growing up in Alexander, Arkansas, where, I was the one person. We had our dog went missing, and our neighbors, our own friends, accused us of doing something with that dog. And
There's no other Asian kids in your.
no. In my school at that time, it was me. We had one Black American kid and one girl from Mexico, and everyone else was Caucasian. So you can imagine every name in the book that was thrown at me. My mom did something that was genius. She goes, "You're going to go and do a demonstration at school." And I was in the third grade and I was nervous, all nervous, because that was not me. I was not the, in your face kind of guy. Well, I did that demo in front of my class. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, you're a black belt. You broke boards. That's so awesome." All of a sudden I started to gain that respect. So the next year I did it for the entire fourth grade class. And then the tide started to turn just a little bit. The racism was still prominent. I know it's still out there today. Kids don't know what they're doing. And they'll say something that Eddie Murphy said on Raw. And it's just those things, but they stick with you, right? That built character, in my opinion, that built character for me. If my life was all about, you're the Grandmaster's son, I should be somewhat bipolar. I should have two personalities because growing up in Bryant, Arkansas, and Alexander, I was the Chinese kid. By the way, I'm Korean, but I was a Chinese kid. In the afternoon, when I went to the Taekwondo school, I was the ATA's Grandmaster's son, and everyone respected me and catered to me. So I had like two personalities growing up, and that's interesting to grow up with. But I think that side, going through the adversity of being name called and having those discriminatory thoughts against me, built character for me. It sucked. Don't get me wrong, it sucked. I did not enjoy it. But today, adversity, as long as you don't let it bring you down, that pain is there to help you learn something. If you take it that way, you can grow from it. I'm thankful for having that experience. If I only had the other experience, I don't know how overly confident, arrogant I would be. I already have that would instilled in me anyways, but there's a counterbalance that I need to have. But imagine not having that adversity and not having that humility, how much of a jerk I would become. I mean, I already get called jerk. How much more I would be called a jerk. So that's sort of a little bit about my background.
So when you have all these school owners that depend on you, how do you manage that anxiety personally?
Well, my first is my family. My wife is so supportive. We couldn't do what we do without our significant others and standing behind us.
What does
So,
that actually look like? Okay, so
goodness,
you're having feeling a high anxiety day. You got yelled at by 4 school owners. Everyone's pissed sending you emails that day because something you did they didn't like. How do you actually handle it?
well, what I'm learning to do better now is being in the moment when I go home, because once you're in front of your 7-year-old or 12-year-old and you're talking with them, the more that you can let go of that and truly engage, which what we do all the time as instructors, we're solely focused on that one student for that one moment. And you need to learn how to disconnect from that world. It's harder to do that with your kids because a lot of times you're only talking to them when they're having a problem. But let that problem become your problem. And all of a sudden, this problem isn't that bad. I've noticed that even just the last couple of weeks. It's like, oh crap, I got to deal with this problem now. That problem's not that big of a deal. Let your family be part of your family and be present with that. That's the number one thing. And I have a supportive family, very great characters with my kids. And you got to learn to laugh when you laugh hard, enjoy it. Enjoy life when you're enjoying life. And when it's time to work your butt off. And then secondly, I have a team where I tell them, listen, if I'm wrong, you got to tell me I'm wrong. I have a set of advisors and I tell them all the time, listen, if I'm headed in the wrong direction, if you disagree with me, you disagree with me, you need to tell me. Because if you don't and I mess up, now it's your fault. But if I make a decision and you told me that you disagree with me, I'm going to own it. It's, you know what? I should have listened to you. I'm going to learn from that situation. That pain was really hitting me hard, but now I get to learn from that situation. So the anxiety part of it, again, I don't like it, but I know it's makes me think better. The nights that you can't sleep, I think it's designed to help you process or in me anyways, that's the way my mind works, my mind and my heart. I try to work something out. I pull my iPhone out. It's great because there's notes. I have so many darn notes in that app, but I write things down. I come up with solutions at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and I get to put it away. And then that part of my mind relaxes. And those types of things. I read books, Howard Schultz and his whole process of Onward in the Starbucks saga, that story. I listen to that all the time. There's, what I'm going through is not the first time anybody's gone through it. Others have gone through it. Unfortunate, we have one of our former CEOs is still a part of the ATA. And he's like a second dad to me, Mr. Jim Wolf, and he'll tell me like it is. We had a yelling match the other day and we walked out of there hugging each other. It was so great. And I think if we felt we got this off our chest, we disagree with one another. We understood each other's position better, but now we're moving in this direction. It's got to have those people around you. I never want to be in a position where everyone is saying yes to me just because I'm in a position of power. You don't want that. You don't want yes men. You want people who say yes, but what about this option? Or that's going to help you make better decisions, especially as in my situation, when I'm only at this at 2.5 years. I listen to all these people here. You just got to surround yourself with people that you trust and not just yes people.
Who should be on the martial arts Mount Rushmore?
Well, obviously, Eternal Grandmaster is my dad, and that's the easy answer. That's probably the safe answer. If I look out, I'll pick 2 people. I would pick Brad Reigns. These are special abilities, Down syndrome, 3rd-degree black belt.
You can't pick all ATA people. You got to give.
Oh, it's got to be outside of the ATA.
Any all martial arts.
Oh, we have so many great people in the
Okay,
ATA.
fine, just ATA martial.
Oh goodness. Bruce Lee, that's too cliche.
No.
Bruce Lee, of course, then. My hero growing up, I love Jackie Chan, and there's something about Mr. Miyagi,
Yeah.
not Pat Morita, but Mr. Miyagi, that whatever That character was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think I really wish that he was still alive.
All right, next one. What's martial arts? What's one? Do that again. What's one martial arts weapon we should get rid of?
One martial arts weapon that we should get rid of. Knives.
Knives.
They had
Okay.
throwing knives at a convention once, at a martial
Okay.
arts convention once.
So not. Oh wow.
Not
Okay.
knife defense.
Yeah.
I guess you can. Yeah, you want to kill somebody, you better have a knife, I guess. Hey, listen, we have so many weapons in the ATA. I can name. I'd be here for another 30 minutes.
Give me your favorite and least favorite.
Well, if you look out, like it's called a samdong bong, which is tri-sectional staff. And you may have seen it.
Yes,
know,
those are like impossible to handle.
Yeah, but we have them here. And you know what's really cool about it is that our creative and extreme kids are now starting to use it in their extreme performances. And that probably started maybe a couple years ago, but it was annoying to some people. Now all of a sudden it's evolved to this other thing, or the cane. Like we have the cane. My father did the cane form back in 1993 or
There's a
1997.
cane
Form. And what's so cool is I saw a girl. She's right there. She's doing a cane form. She's getting ready to do her cane form. You see her standing there?
Yeah.
She has a cane. She's going to do an extreme form with the cane.
That's wild.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's pretty
There's
cool.
another one doing it with an umbrella.
Yeah, I saw that one dude doing it with a ladder. He had a ladder doing a form. That one needs to go for sure.
Okay.
I don't know what you're going to do.
What's your favorite one? Is that the tri-sectional staff?
I'd say, yeah, the tri-sectional staff. You know, I want to see them take it to the next level with the tri.
That'll take time.
That'll be
with the
cool.
game.
Yeah, and if they've done well, the traditional form is beautiful.
All right. Name a martial arts move that looks really cool but sucks in real life.
Martial arts move that looks cool but sucks in real life. Oh man, I should have thought about this one. I'm gonna upset somebody here. I was gonna say a 540-degree spin kick.
540.
Yeah, it looks so cool. But you know what? I remember sparring somebody and I saw him jump up in the air and he spun around and he nailed me with a 540 spin kick. So maybe a 720.
87. That's
Or 1080. Like a 1080 sucks in real life. What are you going to do that unless you're in the movies?
All right. You're cornered in a dark alleyway by a strange man who is bigger and stronger than you. He starts to charge you. You can't run away. What's your go-to move?
Kick him in the nuts.
Kick him in the nuts. So you're doing like a front kick, side kick. What are you doing?
I'm going to just kick whatever I can kick.
out.
Any kick, just kick
Right
him
to
in the
the
nuts.
groin. Krav Maga style, maybe. If you were in the UFC, what would your walkout song be?
Oh man, my walkout song. You know, I did a demo called Radioactive. It was a Radioactive song by that group. Maybe Radioactive by Imagine Dragons.
Okay.
I didn't think about that one, so that was the first one that comes to mind.
That's a
Or
good
Who's
one.
Bad? Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I like Imagine Dragons. That sounds good. Okay, next one. Your favorite place you've ever traveled?
My favorite place I've ever traveled. Can I tell you my least favorite place I've ever
Sure.
traveled? Venezuela. Caracas, Venezuela. I love the culture. I love the people. But my wife told me, she's Venezuela. She grew up in Venezuela. And she said, don't talk loud. Don't make eye contact. And don't put your iPhone out. Don't take your iPhone out in public.
Someone snatch it.
Yeah, they snatch it. They prey on the tourists. And then later on, I said, well, what the hell are we doing here? But we got to see her family. And we had, it was during a New Year's Eve celebration. But she eventually showed me this video on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube, where in the traffic during rush hour, cars are at a standstill. And these people come down from, it's called the barrios. They come down and they go through traffic, will weave in and out of traffic looking for windows that are open, and they snatch their purse and run back up to the barrios.
Oh my God.
And this is happening in broad daylight, and people are filming it. It's on YouTube. It's crazy. But anyways, that's where I went for my honeymoon.
Beautiful.
It was
Forget
beautiful.
Costa Rica. Go to Venezuela.
Don't go to
Don't go to
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
But
All
yeah,
right.
it's a beautiful culture though.
What job would you not do even if you made $1 billion a month?
What job would I not do?
Even if you made $1 billion.
What job would I not do even if I made $1 million? Wow. Gosh, I don't think I'd want to pick up dog crap. I do it right now. I pick up dog crap and I don't get paid for it.
Yeah, I can't be.
Well, I guess I would get paid for it then. I'd pick up dog. I wouldn't want to pick dog crap for sure. That's not my choice of word. But there are people that do that. I respect them and appreciate that. Not what I want to do. You know, it's
Like a
I
porta,
have,
you talking about like dogs or like cleaning porta potties or something?
oh, I do not want to clean porta potties for sure. But have you ever noticed this? Like, do you have a dog?
No.
So if you have a dog, it's telling, okay, I got to pick up my own dog's crap, and you can get used to it. But if somebody else's dog craps, then you have to pick it up. It's like 10 times worse. I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing. And then my parent, yeah. So that's I don't want to do that.
Okay, got it. All right. What book has shaped your life the most?
What book has shaped my life the most? Well, so I mentioned earlier, who's the author? It's called Flight Plan. It's one of the first books I read as a adult professional. It's called Flight Plan. And I forget the author. His story is about how to plan for your future and how having a plan is important. And I resonate a lot with airlines and airplanes because that's what I connected with my dad on when I was a child. So he uses airplane flight plans as a metaphor for your life and how you should plan your life out. That gave me a lot of structure early on in my early 20s. I haven't read that in a while, so I'm glad I remembered that. But that one is a very good one. Onward from Howard Schultz is a great one because it talks about business, but he also talks about the art and the beauty of coffee and how coffee is, when you stick to your core values on just coffee, how that has become a $1 billion industry and how he became. But it was so simple, just coffee. You should read it. And then now, if you watch like Master Class, he does a master class on how to make a good cup of coffee. He's still back at his core values and just the basic components. It's beautiful. It's great.
Super cool. All right, next one. What's your favorite late night snack?
My favorite late night snack, sleep. It used to be ramen, Korean ramen,
Okay.
but now I can't handle the sodium at this age anymore.
You act like you're like 90 years old. You can't handle the sodium. Is that like a heart issue?
No, what I'm saying is it's really bad for you. I mean, ramen is really bad for you, but I love it. I mean, but there's like 2,000 milligrams of sodium in one of those packets of ramen.
Yeah.
But it's so addictive. My child is addicted to it now. Thanks to K-pop demon hunters, ramen is now becoming another fad again. Imagine did you know my mom told me when I was younger, Korea is #1 and Korea is going to be all over the place. And I told her that she's crazy. But now look at it. You got automobile industry. Korea is a huge player in that. You got Netflix is playing all these K-pop dramas.
Yeah.
K-pop. I used to listen to K-pop in college because I went to school in Korea. To imagine listening to it here on the radio blew my mind.
Yeah.
That is insane. But that's a big source of pride for me right now. I wish I was growing up in Arkansas as a kid, growing up with K-pop and K-pop demon hunters, where being Korean is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Back then it was, I don't know how many names they're throwing at me,
Yeah.
but I'm happy about that. That's exciting. But yeah, ramen, I'd say ramen.
One more. What's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh my gosh.
Usually everyone has like a little flashback, right? Of like the one thing that was really cool.
Favorite child. I'll tell you my favorite painful memory that turned into the best results. I still remember my testing for black belt, decided black belt. And it was my third attempt to break a board. I had 3 tries to break a board. It was also my third testing because I failed the first 2 before that. And I went up to do my jump side kick and I didn't break the board. And I immediately fell to my knees and I started crying because I knew that I failed. And when I failed, I knew that was the 3rd time. We had a rule back then. You fail 3 times, you go back to red belt. I knew that moment I was going back to red belt. If you wore a black belt, you don't want to wear any other belt ever again. I was 9 years old. I cried and I cried and I cried. Everyone was like, it's okay, you'll get it next time. But I knew I was going back to red belt. That moment shaped my life till today because being the Grandmaster's son, my instructor said, do we need to demote him? He had to go back to my dad's office and he said, you better demote him. He needs to learn that lesson. I learned that lesson. Up until that point, I goofed off in class. every day. I didn't take life seriously. I was in that side of my personality traits, and I could get away with anything. I got in trouble a lot. From that moment forward, I worked my butt off to earn what I got versus just getting by. And it really shaped my life the way I feel and believe today. I ultimately became a world champion in my teenage years, but I never took that lesson for granted. That's what I believe failure can really help you in life. And if you fail and if you get something taken away from you, what did you learn from that? How can you grow from that? Pain, staying up at night because I can't sleep, the anxiety, all those things are the way that I've been created to help me make better decisions in my life.
I mean, every parent, not every parent, a lot of parents nowadays, I want my kid to feel anxious, or they want to catch them before they fall. Like,
Right.
dude, you gotta let them scrape their knee.
Yeah.
You gotta let them fail. People make fun of them sometimes, like other kids. Like, you gotta let it happen. That's how they grow,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So,
it's hard to do that too when you have two daughters and they look at you with their eyes, but you know that what's best for them. And as parents, it's hard to make that decision.
thank you so much for listening. My name is Matthew Brenner with W Dojo. If you have any questions, you can find me on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1, or you can email me, Matthew at wdojo.com, or visit our website, wdojo.com. And if you're interested in ATA, finding out more information about it, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Taekwon. What's the best way to find you guys?
ATAmartialarts.com. Just come learn about us. You can give us a
Thank
call
you,
on our
guys.
800 number. Thank you. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.